So inshallah today we will be covering on one of the greatest women, one of the nurturers of this nation. That is none other than Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu ta'ala anha. Most remarkable women to have walked this earth. As you all know, she was also blessed and honoured to have been the first wife, blessed wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now my question is, so when I was researching and exploring, my wonder was, what was it that made her the best woman ever? What was it that made her a nurturer of this nation? And so, interestingly, from her biography, we don't know how tall she was, we don't know what colour eyes she had, we don't know what her skin tone was like. But what we do know was that she was a woman of honour. She was a woman of her word. Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu ta'ala anha was known to have never lied, hurt or backbite. Described her presence as a very subtle presence and a very soft and a very where you'd feel peace in her presence. And she wasn't like an intimidating person. She was a soft, gentle person, and her presence was very subtle. From her name even, Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu ta'ala anha, her name Khadeejah, many linguists have mentioned that this meant premature. This word meant premature. So if a baby was born premature, it was called Khadeejah. And another meaning that scholars have mentioned, subhanallah, it just summarizes her whole personality, her whole aura, was that premature meant that she was ahead of her time, that she was ahead. Like in society, everyone looked up to her. She was the most intelligent, she was the most beautiful, she was like the model icon for any woman in society would want to be like her. But subhanallah, she never, she had status, she had money, she had everything, but she had everything that could make a person arrogant, but she did not use this in a way that was bad, or that was that something in a way where she could take advantage of people. But she had all those qualities that where some people would take advantage of, like status, wealth, money, and looks. She had all those things, but this did not make her arrogant. From the many instances that I wanted to mention is the instant when the Prophet ﷺ received revelation first time, and this was quite overwhelming, quite frightening for the Prophet ﷺ. So he ﷺ came running down, and he needed to tell someone, express to someone what happened and his feelings and his vulnerability. And subhanallah, he had his friends to go to, he had his companions, he had many other people that he could have approached. But who did he choose to approach? He approached his beloved and blessed wife, Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu anha. And this in itself is a big lesson and a big sign of her status, being vulnerable. He wants to tell someone about his problems, and he chose to go to his wife. He chose her out of all others that were there. So he came to her and expressed to her what he went through, and he said, "Ya Khadeejah, what is wrong with me? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is he upset with me? Is he displeased with me?" Sayyidah Khadeejah anha reassured the Prophet ﷺ, and the first word she said, "Kalla," which means no, nay. It's a full 100% negation. And she mentioned, by Allah, Allah will never disgrace you, for by Allah you keep good relations with people. So she started to mention his good qualities. So this is another lesson that we should, when someone is unsure or is not confident or stuck in a position where they need that that bit of that wish. It could be anyone. One thing you can do is reaffirm their good qualities, like Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu anha did. So she said, by Allah, you keep good relations with people, you speak the truth, you help the poor and the destitute, you assist those who are stricken with calamities, and you entertain your guests generously. So she mentioned his good qualities and reassured him that, no, Allah will never disgrace you, because you do this and you do this and you do that. This is a lesson for us as well, that when someone approaches us, instead of having doubt or being negative toward that person, we should be 100% confident. If that person is good, we should reaffirm their good qualities, because sometimes they might not see them. The Prophet ﷺ, being the most perfect, he was a prophet, but still he needed that reassurance, that comfort, that solace from his blessed wife. And this is Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu anha, and she was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this position, subhanallah. And one other thing that I wanted to mention was 3 advices that Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu anha gave to her daughter Sayyidah Fatima radiallahu anha. Number 1, she mentioned to her and reiterated to her and embedded in her throughout her life, to make Allah the purpose of your life, to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the purpose of your life, that no one else should have that value that you give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no one else that you should make priority other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, she mentioned to always be good with creation, to always have a good relationship with creation, your family, your friends, your parents, siblings, colleagues. And number 3, to stay away from evil, to hate evil, and to, as much as a person knows what's wrong, to stay away from that. And you can see from the woman she brought up Sayyidah Nisa'i Ahl Jannah, the queen of Jannah, the queen of the women in Jannah, Sayyidah Fatima radiallahu anha. And from this we can imagine the status Sayyidah Khadeejah radiallahu anha had then. If her daughter was the queen of Jannah, then what can we say about the queen's mother?
His heart began to mourn, 'cause she was there for him when the times were rough and his enemies were cruel. She was the first believer.